Hey there. Hi, friends. Happy Friday to you, Friday before the long weekend. Thank you for joining me for this week's marketing training. As usual, we're just going to do a double check that things are coming through okay. Looks like it. Awesome. Thanks for being here. If you are joining me live, I know we had quite a few people who were interested in this event on this Friday. Will you let me know where you're joining from? Let me know you can hear me okay, and just say hello in the comments. That would be really wonderful. I also want to encourage, as I'm going through this, if you have questions or thoughts about something specific, please drop those into the comments. I'm happy to address them at the end of the recording. If you're catching the recording and you're not here live, please drop a hashtag replay into the comments. That's just going to make sure that I can see any questions you may have, because I'm happy to revisit this even if it's months down the road. Awesome, wonderful from San Antonio. Thank you so much. So today we're talking about something really interesting, the 5 factors that I have seen fuel my clients' success. I have worked with hundreds of therapists at this point in various capacities. I've had over 200 strategy sessions sitting down with mostly new clinicians. Over 400 people have been through the Fill Your Practice formula. I've worked one-on-one with over 50 clients, all of these therapists that are in the private practice space. And I sat back about a week or two ago and started to just look at the themes that were popping up. Because one of the questions I often get asked in those free strategy sessions or in conversations with therapists is, what questions am I not asking? Or what have you seen work? Or, what am I missing? And that kind of thing. And so it was really important to me to kind of just take a look at that. I've been so heads down working and, helping these clients be successful that it was kind of time to step back and be like, well, what am I seeing? And I want to share those findings with you. So that's what today's about. If this is your first time joining me, I'm really happy that you're here. We have lots of new faces. We're actually almost 3,000 members strong as of today inside of the group. I'm really happy you're here. My name's Anna Walker. I am a web and marketing strategist, and I work specifically with therapists and counselors in private practice to help you market yourself in a way that gets you booked out, right? That's the name of the group. That's why we're here. That's what we do. So thanks for being here. Let's dive in now to the 5 factors fueling my clients' success. So like I said, this is something that I took a look at recently, because the fact is, and if I can just be totally transparent with you, some of my clients are more successful than others. And that kind of feels hard to say out loud, because I, as someone who loves to do what I do, wants to take responsibility and wants, like, if my client isn't seeing growth, then that feels like a reflection of me. But the fact is that I am a small piece of the work that a clinician is ultimately doing, right? I can build you a website. I can write you a website. I can coach you, but it's about you putting that to work in order to actually grow your practice, right? So hopefully we're all on the same page. Oh, we have another Texas joining us. Wonderful. Hi, Alyssa. Thank you so much, everyone, for being here. So that's what I want to be really transparent about, is that some clients that I work with are more successful than others. And so if you're sitting here and you're wondering if you should invest in your marketing, or maybe you have invested in your marketing, you're not seeing the results you want, or you're just starting out and want to not make the mistakes others have made, then this is the training for you. So like I said, 5 things, and I'm actually going to start with the number one most important thing. The thing that emerged as I looked at all of my clients and the ones that have truly been the most successful, the people that are booked out at their full fee right now, that are so busy they have a waiting list, that have truly met their goals. The number one thing that I see as a theme is they know their ideal client. They know, they have this deep understanding of their ideal client. And that is more than just, oh yeah, well, I specialize in grief, or, oh yeah, I'm an anxiety therapist. Like, no, they know their ideal client, like as a person. And the reason that has been so powerful, we have lots of trainings around this kind of topic inside of this group, but the reason that I've seen that be so powerful for these clinicians is because it's shown them what to say in their marketing to be effective. So they know what to write on their website, what to write on their Psychology Day profile, what to post on social media, but not just that. It also shows them where they need to be spending their time, which I'm going to get to in one of the other factors as well. But they also realize, because they know their ideal client so well, where they need to invest their time when it comes to marketing. Maybe their ideal client doesn't hang out on Instagram. They don't waste their time with that. So they know their ideal client so well that they let that direct everything else that they do. But they also know how to position themselves to this person as the expert that client is looking for. We talk a lot about if, your ideal client, when they are deciding that they want to look for therapy and find a therapist and hire them, and especially if you're wanting to be private pay and command that full fee, your ideal client is looking for someone who is an expert in the problem that they're facing. And so the only way you can position yourself as an expert to someone is if you know who that someone is. And this is a really tough thing for brand new clinicians a lot of times. And I understand why, because you're new in your practice, you don't want to pigeonhole yourself. So you have, it's really hard for you to sort of name and narrow down who it is that you want to reach. And so what I would encourage you around there, in that area, is that this person can evolve and this person can change. And you can learn more about this person, and you should learn more about this ideal client as you go. But even if you are just starting out in your private practice and you're just starting to do the work of determining what your niche is going to be, the more this person can crystallize in your mind as a true person, then the more effective you're going to be in actually reaching that person. So instead of thinking about yourself, we actually talked about this in a recent training. So I think it's actually the most recent one. So when your niche isn't working, check that one out. But the fact is, you need to stop thinking about yourself and who you are as a clinician and who it is that you're reaching. Like I said, this is the number one thing. As I think back, like name by name, I am thinking of specific clients I've worked with, and the ones that are full have this. They have this understanding of their ideal client at a deep, deep level, not just the problems that they're facing, but who this that you can see me. What just happened? All right, I think I'm back. I'm going to keep going as if I'm back. All right, I'm sorry about this. We had a technical difficulty in the last one too. I apologize. Maybe I need to start plugging in, although I don't even know if my laptop does that. But anyway, this is the theme that I see in all of my clients that have truly been the most successful, is they know exactly who they're trying to reach. And so if you're just starting out in your private practice and you're like, where do I start in my marketing? I need to get clients. I encourage you to do this work first. And this work is not sexy, and it's not getting anything out on, it's not building a website yet, but it is so fundamental to your marketing actually being effective. Because in all of those strategy sessions where I have sat down with clinicians that are brand new in their practice and asked them what they were up to, very rarely can they answer the questions related to this. They can tell me that they're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, LinkedIn, Psychology Today, all the directories, they're building a website, all these types of things, but they can't answer this. And the clients that can answer this are usually the ones that have a foundation of growth that they're operating from. So that is the number one thing. So if you drop off now, great. The number one factor fueling my client's success that I have seen is an understanding of who they're reaching. Next up, the second thing, this one probably doesn't come as much of a surprise. Oftentimes, one of the factors fueling my client's success is a professional website. Now, I build websites, so I can say that, right? Because a lot of times I'm handing over a professional website, but I don't build all of my clients' websites. Sometimes they create them on their own and I just coach them on them. Sometimes I write the copy, but they build them and bring them to life. They DIY them from the design side. Whatever. It isn't because I built the website. It's because that website is professional. And the reason that this is really fueling success, there's a couple of reasons. Number one, they're rising to the standards that their ideal client has. Again, if you want to be private pay, the fact is you have to realize that your ideal client has standards. They have standards for the experience they're going to get in working with you. If they're paying $150, $175, $250, whatever it is your ideal or your full fee is, they have standards about what this experience is and isn't going to include. The easiest way to set that expectation to say you're going to get a great experience with me is to offer a visual experience on your website that aligns to that. And so that's really, really important because you're rising to the standard that commands your full fee, right? You're presenting yourself in a professional way that says, I deserve this full fee. Now, that's the other thing about having a professional website that's kind of like more of the mindset thing, is all of a sudden you have confidence, right? You're sending referral sources. You're sending, when you're networking with another therapist or you're telling someone you went to grad school about your private practice, you're sending them somewhere you're proud of. There is huge merit to that. You're sending someone there that to a place that you ultimately can stand behind and communicates the great work that you do visually, the words there, the pictures, all of those types of things. When your website feels professional, you feel like a professional and you present yourself like a professional in all of your other marketing. If you're shying away from sending people to your website, no surprise there, that's going to hurt your marketing, right? So if you have a website that you're proud to send people to, all of a sudden that comes through. Right? That confidence comes through. So there's a huge part that comes to that. The other thing about having a professional website is that it becomes a client generator on its own. We talk about that all the time in this group. Your website has the potential to literally work on autopilot to get you clients. Now, via SEO, as long as your website is Google friendly, you can find, people will find you organically through Google, but also through things like social media and Psychology Today. Anytime someone's landing on your website, it has the potential to take that person from, is this a therapist for me to, I want to book with you right now, right? Your website has that power. So when your website is done professionally and when it takes people on that journey and gives them that experience, all of a sudden you're getting clients simply because they're landing on your website. Like that's all. Whereas right now, if you don't have a website, then obviously we're missing out on people. Or if you have a website that isn't super professional, you are potentially losing people when they land there simply because it's not, again, rising to those standards and taking them on that journey that they're expecting. So that's another factor I see fueling my client success is they've invested time, sometimes money, but at least time, their own time, in creating a beautiful professional website. And remember, you do not have to be a tech genius to do that. I'm a huge advocate of Squarespace. It offers clean, modern, sophisticated, professional design that you can do yourself. I will never tell you that you need a professional in order to have a professional website. So know that. While I love to design websites for therapists, you also can do it yourself and you can make it work for your practice. Okay, the third thing that I see, again, as I was looking back at my most successful clients, is they were extremely intentional as they started about their growth. Sometimes I will sit down and I kind of just referenced this before with a new clinician. I'll ask what they're up to in their marketing, and they list off 8 to 10 different things that they're doing, and because they feel like they need to be everywhere, right? So I started my practice and now I'm on every directory possible. I'm on every social media channel and nothing's working and I'm feeling really stressed out. Now the really effective and successful clients that I've sat down with are like, well, I'm working on a website and I know that's where I need to start. Or I have these couple of things and I'm thinking about maybe I should start blogging. They are thinking about these things in more of a in more of an intentional way. So rather than throwing spaghetti at the wall and seeing what sticks, right, and hoping something sticks, they're actually being really intentional. And they're watching. They're thinking, where is the best place for me to spend my time? And again, like I said, in number one, where because they know that their ideal client really well, they know if they need to be on Twitter. Very few private practices need to be on Twitter. That's actually a really bad example. If you're on Twitter, it's probably not going to help you regardless of your niche or your ideal client. Anyway, they're really intentional about their growth and they think about it in steps as opposed to just marketing and having to like kind of spray and pray, as they say. They're thinking about it as these blocks and sort of this foundation that they're building. That's why I talk about the private practice marketing pyramid. The very bottom, profitable niche. On top of that, strategic SEO friendly website. On top of that, networking, directories. And on top of that is all the other stuff that you can spend and sometimes waste your time on to market your practice. If you take care of those big things, a lot of times you don't even need the cherry on top. And they think about things in that way. They think, okay, I think what I need next, I actually just sat down on a strategy session with a new clinician today. He's like, I need a website. Yes, you do. Let's focus on that. As opposed to, I need a website and 6 other things. I need a website. I'm going to do that really well. I'm going to do this with excellence. And then I'm going to move on. I am breaking up again. And what is with my my Wi-Fi? Hopefully it's still coming through. I'm just going to charge on. So that's number 3, is they're really intentional about their growth. So even if they have big dreams, like a lot of times these clinicians I'm sitting down with, they want to move into coaching. They want to bring on new clinicians. They don't bite off more than they can chew, especially as they get started. They focus on what is going to get them the most results the fastest, and then they grow from there. So even if you have big dreams, start with what we call the big rocks, right? The big things, build that foundation, and then see what needs to be added after that in order to start bringing in clients or grow in the direction that you want to go. All right, number 4 in the factors fueling my client's success is they have a really strong presence. And I say presence because that can mean a lot of different things. Being really well networked in your community is a great way to get booked out. That is no surprise to anyone, right? So if you're really well networked in your community, that's wonderful. You also don't have to be, out there offering luncheons to have a great network and to get referrals that way. So I say presence because that can be online, networked inside of Facebook groups, or, well-known with clinicians inside and outside of their niche or in their local community. But they have a strong presence. And the red thread there, the thing that I see for those successful clinicians there is that people recognize them as an expert. So again, like we talked about, your ideal client is looking for an expert. People that want to refer to you are also looking for you to be an expert. Because if I'm, a referral source, I'm a clinician, I'm a physician, I'm whatever, I'm someone who's going to refer your ideal client to you. If I just say, oh yeah, she's a therapist, she's had a private practice for a couple years now. Or if I say she specializes in grief, check it out. If you're specializing in, or if you're struggling with grief, you're going to go somewhere where you know that person is an expert. So if people that you are networked with recognize your expertise, they're going to share that expertise with your ideal client. And that is what I see time and time again. These people have a very strong presence and people recognize them as the expert in the areas that they specialize in. The reason that people recognize them as an expert in those areas is because they're telling them that they're an expert in those areas. You may sometimes see inside of our group people asking for feedback on their niche statement. Niche statements are something that you write inside of my course, the Fill Your Practice Formula, and it is a condensed down 2-sentence statement about who you are as a clinician and what you do. If you don't have a clear way to communicate those 2 things to people when you are networking, then they're going to forget about you. The most successful clinicians that I work with have a clear understanding of who they are, and then they share it with people. And then they say, I am an expert in grief. I specialize in anxiety. I work with introverts and highly sensitive people. Whatever it is that you do, you own that enough that you can put that out into the world. So you do the hard work of understanding who you are, you practice saying that, and then you put it out into the world. That makes them really, really smart and effective in their marketing because they know where to spend their time and, again, where not to. So that's the 4th thing. And then the 5th factor that I see fueling my client success is I look back, especially after our work together. So a lot of times I'll build a website for someone and then check in with them 6 months later. And they're like, things are going great. I'm so full, I don't know what to do with myself. Like, excellent. What did they do? And, we'll kind of revisit that. But the last thing that I see happen is that these clinicians are optimizing as they go. It can be really tempting, especially if marketing isn't really a comfortable thing for you, to kind of just treat it as like a set it and forget it. Like, oh, box I need to check, got a website, got a Psychology Today profile, got to, started networking. They're not treating marketing as a set it and forget it. It's an activity in running their practice, just like, notes, just like billing, just like all of the other things that they do. Marketing becomes part of the rhythm of owning their practice. And the reason for that is, like I mentioned earlier, they're getting to know their ideal client better. They're learning where people are finding them and where people aren't. And that directs them to where they need to spend their effort. So rather than just putting things up and then sitting and hoping the phone rings or hoping the email, dings, they're treating this as an activity, as something that's active. And so they're looking at their Psychology Today, profile stats, and they're saying, are people coming here as much as they could be? Or they're clicking into my website, but I'm not getting follow through. What does that mean? They're asking themselves those questions. And sometimes those questions can be challenging, especially when they're not getting the results they want right away, but it leads them to the places that they need to invest more time or energy in order to keep seeing results. And so it becomes part of the rhythm of what it is that they do. And all of a sudden they can, they really start to see results because they have improved upon it, right? They didn't just build something and then, never touch it again. They build it and then they revisit it and they optimize it and they make it better over time. And so that is even true of a website. When I build a website for a client, I teach them how to manage it. And then 6 months later, I might visit that website and some wording has changed or they've played with some things. That's a beautiful thing because that means that they're getting to know their ideal client better. They're realizing that they could maybe word something differently or they want to make an adjustment. And all of a sudden they're bringing that adjustment into their current marketing, right? They're learning things and then they're applying those things to their marketing. So friends, those are the 5 things that as I look back and I see my clients that have been the most successful, I see happening. These are the themes that emerged. Number 1, an understanding of their ideal client. If you do nothing else I truly mean this. If you do nothing else for your marketing, I want you to sit down. I want you to really get to know your ideal client. I want you to profile that person and let them crystallize, like I said, in your mind as a true person, because if you market to that person, you will be effective. That is just what I've seen across the board. It's true in my own business, and it's been true in the practices of my clients. So an understanding of your ideal client. Number two, a professional website, whether you work with someone to do that or you do it yourself, a place that you're proud to send people to and that rises to the standards of your ideal client and helps you command your full fee. Or if you take insurance, still command your fee and say, I am the therapist for you. Number three, intentional growth. Kind of resisting the urge to do everything and instead focusing really intentionally on the things that are going to get you the most results the fastest, and then growing slowly from there. Next up, a strong presence. So making sure that people recognize you as the expert that you are, and then putting that out into the world. Networking in ways that make sense for you, that feel authentic to you, but letting them know that you are, in fact, an expert in certain areas. And then number four, optimizing as you go. Making sure that you're not just treating your marketing as a set it and forget it kind of thing, but that it actually becomes an active part of what you do. You revisit, you ask yourself what you've learned, and then you apply those learnings to your marketing. So those are the 5 factors fueling my client success. I haven't seen any questions come through. Hopefully that doesn't mean because I'm not live, but I guess we'll see. If you're watching this and you have questions, I would love to answer them. I'd love to brainstorm with you. You can drop them into the comment section below this video. But if not, hopefully that's just because this made sense to you. And hopefully you become another one of those, clients or at least group members that are successful because you've done these 5 things, you've done the hard work, and you're seeing the fruits of your labor when it comes to growing your practice. So thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a wonderful 4th of July weekend, and we'll see you next time.